this podcast will be centered around us and what we are interested in, mostly filming. And
topics vary, though.
yes, topics vary every
Topics
week.
vary. Every week. Join us.
Every week. We're going to try to post every Thursday.
Every
Is
Thursday?
that right?
Yeah.
Yes, every Thursday. So,
Could you try again?
no, I won't talk to you. Yeah, that's pretty much
Join
it.
us. We have a range of topics, and
Remember to look at the camera, not the screen. And it's going to be fun.
we're talking
and
about looking
funny.
at the camera, not the screen.
It'll be cool.
It'll be really fun. You'll hang out
Watch
with
it
us every week.
with us. We're just going to be sitting on this couch talking whole time.
Okay. We start that off by being like, we're working on
What we're currently working on?
Yeah. But,
Or how we got started doing it. That'd be great for the first one.
yeah, see that.
Okay. How did we get started?
We became friends.
I don't know. Actually, I do know. Actually, I don't know. How did we get started, actually? Okay.
Well, we were going to do a comic strip first.
Oh,
we were
yeah,
going to
that's
do a
right,
comic
that's right.
book, and we were going to do, you were going to do the artwork, and I was going to do story.
That was in like 2016.
We first became friends. We discussed it at Shady Maple. Remember, you showed me a few drawings.
Yes.
It's gonna be a Star Wars.
Oh my
spinoff.
gosh, that was like...
It's gonna be a Star Wars spinoff. I had a great idea for like a Jedi purge situation. It was gonna be awesome. We didn't do that, and then you said, "Give me some ideas, and I'm gonna draw pictures based on them." Remember that?
Yeah.
And I sent you 3 of them,
Yes.
and you did drawings. The one was of the kid playing soccer, and he's like,
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
And it kind of sat, and you got into photography.
I was going to say, I don't remember the point where it went from
Yeah.
like drawing to like
filming.
actual filming.
Yeah, well, you got into photography.
Yes.
So we kind of settled on that. And then you and Trev got into photography, and I kind of just was.
Yeah.
So then, I mean, it was when? After Disney the first year? Well, you did the Disney video, and we talked a bunch about doing it.
Anyway, you know what I think it is? Is like you were always like very much more into movies than I was.
Right.
So like for me, it was always the video side of it. So me watching a movie and like talking to you about it, all you ever talked about, like what you still do now,
yeah.
is like all you ever talk about is the like the story that's involved in it, and I
Uh-huh.
always talked about like the
filmmaking,
like the
side of it.
visuals of it.
Yeah.
But then like as far as like, well, what was the first thing we shot? The first thing we shot was like the stupid improvising like,
Improv.
news like
Yeah, we did
like, a
We did
newscast
2.
thing.
One was the interview, the 60 Minutes interview with Trev.
yeah.
It'll never air.
And
The
then the 2 newscast things.
they were second though. The second one was when we did the couch, the therapy session with the cereal. Now that one's really funny.
Wait, didn't we do something?
We did a Coachella
Where were we
salad.
like constantly filming by your house, where the tall grass is? That wasn't UR2, was it?
That was before. That was filmed.
No,
filmed.
before filmed. We did something before that.
No, that was filmed. Because remember, we did a bunch of looking at it to see. Because remember, we had that scene idea where Trev pops up and he's looking for you, and then you pop up.
Is that when we were talking about what's it called? Is that when we were talking about remember we said about doing like a hunting video where like someone's like walking through the woods?
Yeah, we did it.
That was filmed?
That was filmed when we were looking at it for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in between that,
So filmed was like the first thing that we did?
filmed was my first big thing that I brought to you. Because remember, we talked about it going to Disney.
Yes. Oh.
Remember, you were driving and you were like, "All right, come up with the topic," and I was like, "All right,
Yes.
well, here's a short film idea
my gosh,
or
I
a
do
short
remember
series." We were gonna do a series.
Yes, I do remember that now. Now that you say it.
And we filmed me and Paula, and it was great.
It was actually great.
It was good.
That was really
The
good.
issue was casting fell through, and we didn't have enough cast.
Casting fell through, and it was like we were this, and the project was like this.
What was that? It was huge, but it was
Sorry, go ahead.
ambitiously great.
It was.
I wrote
We could honestly
2
still
episodes.
do it. We can honestly
should.
still do it.
Yes.
But I think honestly, like which we've been talking about, like I think the best thing ever is doing like the short films. Like
Yeah.
doing that horror short
Oh yeah.
was like the best thing that we ever did, because 1, we had a time constraint, and 2, it was like it was so short that it was very easy to do what it for us was a good job.
Yeah.
Like it's not anything that's like amazing or like blow you away, but like
It's not gonna win. It's not gonna win at a Cannes Film Festival,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be. It's what got us started, because UR2 is kind of our
Yeah, I know.
our preschool.
Yeah.
And
Well, dude, like,
what's it called? Wake Up Call is our like
Yes.
first grade.
yes.
So
exactly.
now we're
That's a good way to
advancing,
think of it. That's a good way to think
and
of
we're gonna like that was pre-K. We're kind of dealing with it, and now we're doing the baseball short.
it. Yes.
Which
Oh my
is-
gosh.
Been great,
Yes.
but it's gonna be even better when we do the second part.
I was gonna say, like, honestly, this first one is more sort of just like getting something out there,
Getting it. Yep.
which I think we both agree. Like, it's
definitely.
more of like
Definitely.
it's more of like a
I think we said that from the start.
it's more of like a cool baseball video that's like because the Phillies were in the World Series
Yeah.
and stuff. But what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. But so we were saying about like learning from doing Wake Up Call.
Yeah.
Like literally from Wake Up Call, just me with the whole filming side of it is like learning that exposure, like how to tell if you're properly exposed. Like
Lighting.
I looked that up
Yeah.
because of shooting that.
Right.
So like
right.
now our
Yeah.
next big lighting scene, I know it because of Wake Up
Of
Call.
Wake
And
Up
even
Call.
though
And-
it wasn't, we didn't win or place in whatever top 10, top
Yeah.
25. Like just learning that in and of itself just took the video production like way up.
And blocking we learned from UR2.
Yes. Yes.
Writing,
A
I
ton.
did a lot
Yeah.
of figuring out on writing for UR2.
yeah.
Still learning, but a lot of it was learned from UR2
Yeah.
and just doing, redraft after redraft of.
Yeah.
We had 4 different ideas for that, and all of them fell through. Now we're on our 5th idea.
Well, not even that, but like also say for your side of it, like I feel like you're like starting to be more and more like a real director. Like
Yeah.
like I think the main thing is like telling like letting them know
Yeah.
that you're directing the scene.
Yeah.
Like to where there's so many opinions. I feel like that happened a lot with you too.
It happens.
Is
yeah.
like we all were like kind of like, hey, we're all doing this together. So
Right.
it was like I would give my opinion on a scene, Ian would give his,
Yep.
Jake would give his, and it was like I feel like with Wake Up Call, it was a wake up call for us
for
knowing
just
that
direct.
like
And you filmed, I directed, and
yes,
they
and
acted.
it was great. It went very smoothly.
I agree.
Like I think the video quality could have been better. I feel like the story side of it could have been better. Acting could have been better.
I think that's where
But-
our time constraint hurt
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Where it helped getting it out there,
Yeah. It hurt,
but it hurt us where we were like, okay, let's just get it done.
yeah.
So next time we know how to use our time properly.
I think it was like
Because a lot of it was taken, we were figuring out the lighting, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we did, because now we know how to light
Yeah.
better, and the next one we're going to be lighting 10 times better.
yeah.
But now with the baseball short, and then we're going to do the baseball like mockumentary style,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be like 20 minutes, maybe a little longer. It could be.
Yeah.
I really
we were
like the
saying,
idea of that being a little longer.
like we were saying about UR2, how long that's going to be. Like, it's so hard to tell
Yeah.
because we didn't do it right. And like, dude, talk about biggest thing we learned from shooting UR2 is
Yeah.
having a plan, because just winging it worked for Wake Up Call because that's like a 3-minute
Yeah.
short film. But like planning stuff, like how many times do we show up and
Without
it was
the
like
proper stuff.
not even that, but like we're like this doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't even go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had to reshoot because we forgot a bike
Twice.
twice, and it was the
The
whole
whole
plot
premise.
of UR2 is about a bike, and we forgot the bike twice.
Yes.
And had to reshoot accordingly. So that's where we're learning.
Yeah, right.
But what I was gonna say is though, now that we've got there, Sue, I'm looking forward to spring and summer, and I have like 3 ideas. I
Yeah.
texted you about one of them.
Yeah.
But like getting together and talking about those next ideas, and like I want to start see if we can bring more
Yeah.
people into it to act, to be a part of it.
All right, so what was your other idea?
So it was, the first idea was what I told you was the garage band,
Yes.
right?
90s.
90s.
That's weird. That's weird that you're saying 90s.
Because you know what? I shouldn't hit the back. Should we?
No, it's not.
It's
No.
90s. It's 20 years ago.
That's true. Yeah.
20 years ago.
I understand it, but it's still weird.
If you've ever like watched those movies, they have such a rich like they could be so nostalgic
Yeah.
and cheesy.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my thought process is let's not go all the way back to like 80s and 70s, which everybody does.
Yeah, true. That's
Go
fair.
90s, 2000s, and that's like a lot of nostalgia for people.
It's all, like, not that it's relatable to us because we were in 98
Yeah,
and
yeah,
99.
yeah.
But it sort of is.
Yeah, it's
Like,
because
'cause,
we're
like,
early 2000s.
Early 2000s is
us.
90s
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
still carrying over. Like,
Yeah.
the style,
Yeah.
the nostalgia from the 90s and everything like that is
like
still,
bring up a PS2. Some like
Yeah.
that's just as nostalgic as someone being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's a record
That's
machine."
true. Yeah.
To us, to our
Yeah, that's
generation.
fair.
But my other idea was I want to do a play,
Like, wait.
but
Like how?
like a stage play.
Like a play where, like,
Like
it's a play
years from
in a
now when
film,
we have,
or
where
it's like
I have a budget.
an actual stage.
Well, that was my thought, was
We
an
have a
actual
budget.
stage. Yeah, but I want to do a play really bad. I want to do
So before you keep moving forward with it, when you say a play, do you mean like a black and white, like old style, like play on a where it's like very clearly like backdrops, or
no, I want to do like a stage play,
like actually on a
like
stage?
an actual stage play.
That's cool.
That's a dream of mine.
Like a musical.
Not
No.
necessarily, but you
Then
could
you got to work on. Then you got to have like music involved.
musical numbers.
True.
Like I was thinking, The Wizard of Oz would be awesome to do like an actual stage play, but even like
a reenactment
Hamlet
of-
or like
Dude,
ones
that's
like
what I was
that where
saying.
it's like do costumes and you
Yes.
do stage design and you could direct the crap out of it and have like monologues. But my other idea was like a stage, like a play stage
That's awesome.
actress or somebody who's like
Yes.
trying
That's
to make
awesome.
it, and she's going through scripts and do like a really
Yeah.
sentimental piece about it. But like that's the thing, I want to start doing more of that.
Yeah.
I love comedy, I love horror, but like let's try to go for
Yeah.
like a little bit more dramatic.
Honestly, I feel like the reason we like lean towards, say, horror or comedy is because
we know.
it's not because it's not because it's easy, because it's not.
No.
It's not easy to be funny.
And
Like
it's
it's
not
not
easy to
easy
scare
to be
people.
Scripted funny. Like,
yeah.
It's not easy to plan a joke.
Yeah.
But I feel
Especially
like
when you do it
I feel like
30
in
times.
comparison to like what you were just saying about doing a play, like
Yeah.
that seems hard. Like doing like a play
Yeah,
or something
that-
that's
yeah.
like
Live.
intense,
Yeah.
or like I feel like doing like a fight scene could be like
really, yeah.
not that hard
no.
necessarily. Not that any of it's easy, but like
Well, I mean there's a lot of choreographed.
true.
You got to really hit your marks.
Yeah.
I think the idea of
There is
of
some
a
terrible
fight scene-
choreography fight scenes.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's great. I think there's so many great fight scenes that you
Yeah.
like. Remember, I showed you I said that like maybe a year ago. That video of the worst fight scene that I've
Yeah.
ever seen. It was like in a CW show or something where it cuts 38 million times,
Yeah.
and you can't even follow what's going
you
on.
can't even watch a complete hit.
Yeah, you can't even see like the swords hit each other. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah, that's true.
it's so. It
All right,
is
so,
hard.
So getting back to the play, because I'm all aboard.
Right.
Like what era?
What do you mean?
Like what era would that play be, or does that not even matter?
It wouldn't matter. It
It's
depends
more
on the
like
subject.
it's
It
more like
depends-
what subject.
I would do
okay,
like
see.
a classic play
Yeah.
that.
So
say, like I
a play
said,
that's
Hamlet
a
or
play that's already been done, but we're just redoing it.
redoing it as
That's
on your
cool.
own take and have scripts. You
There's
know
no
what
way
I mean?
people
Like,
would get on you for that.
no, I don't think so. Why would anybody ever get on me?
Why
for
would anyone have a strong opinion about something that's already been done?
that? We definitely never have jumped on covers of anything.
Okay, what is because I'm genuinely curious and I haven't ever asked you this.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about like writing a story? Like say not you are too, because that's like a do it as we go.
Yeah.
But say the next baseball short that we're gonna do, the next baseball film that we're gonna do. What's the hardest part?
Is filling the time in between what you want to do, and I feel like they could just be filled with cuts. But it's like, do you want something there, or do you not want? How do I connect these strings
And
that I
all
think?
that has to be filled. Yeah,
And
I can see
you
that.
know what I mean?
That
Like
makes
like
sense.
how do I get from, say I want this story, say with our our horror short. It was an issue for me getting him through the 3 minutes. I know how I wanted to start it. I know how I wanted to end it. How do you get those strings across with also making it scary?
Yeah.
And that's maybe the hardest thing, but that's so short. So that's point A and point B. When you have UR2, it's like A to B to C to D to E. And
I feel like UR2 is like 15 different stories within a story. So it was like you told the beginning and the end of each one of them.
Right.
So
and it's story. And I mean, we changed that
1,000 times.
80,000 times.
Yeah.
Because of not things that weren't in our control.
Yeah. So here's another
I think we
question.
started ambitious with that one.
I agree.
A little bit too ambitious.
So with dialogue, with dialogue.
Dialogue is...
Like, here's what my question is. With dialogue, what goes through your mind when you're planning what the dialogue is going to be? Like, back and forth. Is it like tone is the main thing? Or is it like get from point A to point B and this is how we're going to get there? If that makes sense. Because I'm genuinely curious.
Does. It's more so tone of how the conversation flows. See, it's different parts because, yes, you want to get to point A and point B, but you want to make sure that it's like, you know, it's not like, we need to go to the castle. Which path should we take? You know what I mean? It's like, we need to go to the castle. What castle? The castle where the princess is. The princess is in a castle. You know what I mean? Yeah. You gradually get to it. Tone comes in to where you're telling a story. Because dialogue is just talking. Yeah. Tone is where you're telling the story and how you give off emotion. You know what I mean? Like,
you
if
can't
we
really
were
have
sitting
one
here,
without the other.
We're sitting here and this is a conversation. We're just talking. Mm-hmm. But if I was to be like, and then the A to, you know what I mean? That's more dramatic and it's more like we're like having a sullen conversation and we're telling a story. But for most part, that's easy to me because of like, I'm pretty good at conversations.
Yeah, that's fair.
Plus, I've watched a lot of movies, so I kind of can know how to bridge that gap between. That's the easier part. It's the part of getting to it.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, like UR2, one of the hardest things it was for me was, what's it?
Don't give too much away.
Hey, Flynn. That was so hard for me.
Because that's the first time you ever see him.
And it's like, hey, Flynn, I'm here, over here, and I have to fill this time till when he gets to the tree. Because I know what I want, and I know what I want to, but it's so like, he doesn't talk. Right. So what do we do and fill that time with? And we came up with the, you'll see. But you know what I mean? Like, we came up with a good idea that I feel like fills that time properly, but the fight scenes. What fills that? We know how we wanted to start and we know how we wanted to end. What fills that time?
And that's where I think a lot of it, not that you can always fill time with video, but like we filled a lot of time just by how we shot it. I agree. For example, like, I can't think of an exact, but like say establishing shots, but you hear the dialogue under it. Yeah. So like, that could be filling the time. I know that they're talking along that time, but like a lot of times how you shoot it can fill in that time.
And say like the scenes without dialogue with where the bike gets stolen. Yeah. Where we filled it with, the great shots and all that stuff. That's all filler. That's all filler.
But necessary. Like literally it tells
not filler in a bad way.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. But like that it's not, that was like a very integral part of the story. So like it's not really filler, but like it did fill that. Like, how did it happen? This is how it happened. There's no dialogue there.
Right, and it really gave us a chance to be like, okay, how do we do this without dialogue and just do it creatively, and even with the text messaging and stuff like that. Like, again, I don't want to give too much away, but
I know. Oh, you just talking about it. Like, I want to go up and edit right now.
Right?
Oh man,
it's. Our next one, which is going to be the baseball short film.
The longer version.
The longer version. I feel like we can rewrite how we felt about UR2 into that. Because, we love UR2. but we're a little bit like, it's taking so long.
Here's the
We're not
thing.
even sure if we're
We
there
love
yet.
UR2, but it's
gone through so much.
the bad parts are so obvious because that's all we look at.
So,
It was very ambitious.
what's the hardest part about filming?
Filming what specifically?
Like say with UR2, like what usually when we do, I write, you come up with the shots. So like,
Well,
what influences
the hardest
you
part
getting
in
the shot?
general, the hardest part in general, I would say is how do you make it, and like, I don't know if like I'll get hated on for this, but like, how do you make it look like a movie versus you have a camera and you're videoing something? It's the same thing. It's the same thing as what you're saying about dialogue. Like you want to get from point A to point B, but like you want it to be like
a flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, okay, I feel like we can tell them this. There's a scene in UR2 where the scene where Ian gets home and he goes over and sits on his bed, or Jake.
Yeah.
He goes home, sits on his bed, and he starts playing Xbox. Like, you know how many times like him and I walked through there and did it, and then I ran it by you, and like we're trying to figure out different ways to do it. And the hardest part, yes, if we had a big studio and like could have no walls there and we had enough space,
Right.
it would have been much easier. But I feel like the hardest part, and it's not only with that scene, it's also with the B-roll sides of it, is like, how do you get it to be not just a video and more of like a scene in a movie?
Right.
And like a lot of that is what I've learned is lens choice. Like understanding that, okay, 35 millimeter is kind of like what our eyesight is.
Right.
So like, when does that make sense? Really wide, like 12 millimeter. Like when does that make sense?
Versus
just using whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and the scene
just because you have a camera.
the scene where it was like the montage scene where Ian's walks in his room
Right.
and lays down on his bed.
Yeah.
Where I got the handle, and then
Yep.
like that was like that could have just been like B-roll that like anyone just shot with their camera.
And
that was really hard. But like
we had the conversation about it not looking like a music video.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And like making sure it's still stored. So that's something.
And like the thing is like what I've realized after like once we got really into like filming and stuff is like watching movies, which we both talk about it.
Yeah.
Is like it's so there is like a rule to it, but like sometimes you like we'll see scenes and literally be like that didn't really follow any rules. It was more just like, hey, what's an interesting way to get this shot?
Yeah.
And like, you have to shoot it in a way to give it feeling.
I feel like we did some of that with UR2.
We did. We did a lot of like this might be a cool angle.
Right.
Like, but it also has to make sense. But I think it's like if the story's good, like, and you're showing what's important to tell that story.
Yeah.
Like if the story is all about a guy forgetting his keys, you might open with just a shot of the keys pan to him. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I feel like we did a ton of that with UR2.
Yeah, definitely.
But
it's again the balance between what is filmmaking and writing versus what is just and grab and go is fine. You know what I mean? Like if that's what you want to do,
it works sometimes.
Yeah. We
and for
shot
different
a horror
scenes.
movie in 30 minutes. Remember?
True. That was amazing.
That was fun. We ruined a jacket, but
True.
I think that's something that we've talked about a lot. Is like we when we first started, it felt like we were like, let's do these rules, and we have to, you know what I mean? And and we tried to do it with film, you know what I mean? But I mean that first scene was by the numbers, cut between two different people talking. We shot it twice.
Yeah, lighting was decent.
Lighting was decent. You drilled through the fan.
Yes.
I remember me and Paul sitting there rehearsing lines, and you were doing this stuff. But
that sucked actually.
I remember you were pissed.
That was a lot.
But it was fun because you know we were doing it.
It was
That was more ambitious than you are too.
definitely. Yes, because there's more people involved.
And it was like a series. It was going to be a series.
Yeah.
Maybe not after
Anyway,
this.
so I actually had a good question. So I'll ask you now. Okay. When we're shooting, right? What? I don't want to just say what's the hardest part because I feel like that's like an easy question. But like, when you're watching a scene take place or you're getting ready for us to shoot a scene, like, how do you get the feeling that you want? Like, what's like, is it more trying to get them to get on board, or is it like you're still trying to figure it out?
Well, for you or two, it was a lot of us still trying to figure it out.
True. That's
But
fair.
ideally, what I do enjoy is how I do it is I base it off of where we're going and what we just did. Because knowing that
Where we're going, as in where the story's going.
where the story goes next, because
Yes,
they
yeah,
need to be
I'm following.
so they need to be emotionally prepared for you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like if it's supposed to be a sad upcoming and something sad happens here, they have to be like sad in the middle. You
This
know what I
is
mean?
why you need to know what happens in the end.
In the end.
And that is why we struggle with UR2.
Yes. And so in Wake Up Call, he starts unsure, not really knowing.
Yeah.
Starts to get scared, and then the build up is he's scared. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that's
Yeah.
why each thing he changed, I had to be like, you're feeling this right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing this, but feeling this. And then where we go is he's scared.
Yeah.
And we progress to that. That's the biggest thing is progression, how this progresses into what it's going to eventually be.
Right.
You know, like it's like a drawing. You know what I mean? It's not about the lines you make now.
Because it's going to be ugly kind of in the
Yes.
middle. It's got to get bad before it looks good.
It's got to become something.
Yeah.
So it's got the progression is most important. That's how you make it. That's how
Yeah.
you make. So if he just went from, say with their relationship, we're doing like between Flynn and Oliver, and you are too. If we just
Yeah.
did they don't really know each other and then they're friends. No one really cares.
Right.
But if you do a progression, you see their highs and lows and how they
Yeah.
kind of come together as a friend group, then it's a lot. It's really what a story is.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's
Yeah.
it's the essence of a story.
So basically, like, I feel like it is like pretty clear that it is mostly just you got to know what your end goal is, and then it's much easier to get there.
Yeah.
Like, because also I feel like what we learned a ton from UR2 is understanding that, like, knowing the character like very well drives that.
Yes.
Because like if they're acting in a way or doing their dialogue in a way that doesn't make sense to who they are,
Yeah.
their character is,
We
that's very easy.
Yeah.
That's very easy to butt in and be like, Flynn wouldn't do this, or Oliver wouldn't
and
do
we
this.
started to do that, and Ian.
Yes.
Ian started to
Yeah.
catch on and be like, "Well, would he do this?" And
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
saying, "Well, should I do this?" He would say, "Would he do this?"
Yeah.
Meaning like his
That-
character.
I
And
think that's
really
a huge
helped.
part of it.
Yes.
Like being very, very involved
that's
in
why
your characters.
That's why method actors do what they do.
Yeah.
They become that character. So they don't slip out of it because that's who they are for that
Yeah, that's
time
true.
period. So when you were shooting, what
What's the
gets
best
you
part?
like? What gets you most excited? What gets you like? I just nailed that. Like, what part of shooting? Like, why do you love it?
All right.
Why do you enjoy shooting?
So there's two sides to it, because like before I didn't look at say the story side of it as much until we started talking about it back and forth.
Right.
Because like I said, you're very much more on the story side of it. I am very much too, but not as much as you are. Hence
Right,
the
yeah.
reason you're the director, I'm the cinematographer.
right.
Honestly, a lot of times what like, which when I'll like freak out about a shot,
Yeah.
it's usually just like lighting's there, framing is there,
Mm-hmm.
composition, and like it's very like what looks good, and sometimes it's like, oh, that just told the story perfectly.
Right.
But usually it is surface level. It usually
Yeah.
is just like it just
Just
looks
what it
amazing.
looks like. Yeah.
But like shooting Wake Up Call, those weren't like phenomenal shots, I don't think, personally.
Right.
The lighting was really fun, but like that was a case where it was like when he's walking down the steps, which you can watch this now. When he's walking down the steps, like I love that.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yep.
but it was literally the camera on a tripod, 35 millimeter lens.
Yeah. You were sitting
But it was just
outside.
like that 35 millimeter lens it just made it feel like you were there. And
Yeah.
like it told the story perfectly. He's on this side walking down the steps, and it's just this dark nothing on the other
Yep.
side, and it was just like it just told it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And like the lighting wasn't great because we're very new to lighting. Like
Yeah.
I've
well,
only
we shot it, and then reshot it again.
the
We
whole,
shot.
whole thing,
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Pretty
But it
much the
was
whole thing.
easier because we knew what we were doing.
Yeah, we knew what beats we wanted to
But
hit.
like
But just
I would
lighting
say
wise.
like that is a perfect example of a time where it's like definitely was like I got really excited about it because it just told the story perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And like something as small as like camera movement. Like camera movement's intentional. If camera movement isn't intentional, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
If you use camera movement for every single shot, I think it just goes from like, well, that you just did. It's like the boy who cried wolf. You cry wolf all the time. When it actually means something, no one's going to pick up on it.
I agree.
So if you're using camera movement for everything, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but anyway, I'll make my point. If you use camera movement on everything, it means nothing.
Right.
So shooting Wake Up Call, I did everything intentionally.
Right.
The scene where he gets up out of bed and runs over to the door, that had to have camera shake to it.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
gave like that rough,
It always has to have a reason.
intense feeling.
Yeah.
So like that was like that's something that like when it's intentional it feels so good.
Feels so
because
good,
like even shooting on a tripod, like you'd be surprised. Like I feel like I notice it now more than ever that like there's so many movies and shows where the camera's just completely still. It's like there's
Yeah.
no need for camera movement here. It's like an established shot. There might be a pan or something, but you can very
Mostly,
clearly
yeah.
tell it's on a tripod
It's on,
or
yeah. It's
on a gimbal or
yeah.
something.
I agree.
All right, so as far as how we're going to end the podcast this week, this is our first podcast. So I would say you can find me at William Heilman Photography on Instagram, and that is, I have a YouTube channel, William Heilman. That's
All
it.
links will be below.
Yes. And Jim, you're not very active on Instagram.
Not very active at all.
But
But
if they wanted to find you, they would find you
at Photos with Jimmer.
Photos with Jim. Spell that. Photos.
Photos _ with _ JIMR
And the R is your last name.
is my last name.
Reem.
But it's Jimmer.
Right. Everyone reads it and says Jimmer.
Photos with Jimmer.
So that is how you can find us. Next topic next week will be, we don't know, but we will know soon. But it's going to be fun and funny because
What days?
we'll pick something funny.
What days?
I would say we don't know what
Saturdays?
days yet because we still have to upload our first one. So that's fine. I
Mondays?
think that's understandable.
Definitely.
But it will be weekly. That's the goal.
A question.
Sure. Go for it.
Right, so hot.
Get off! This is much easier than I thought. Literally,
Yeah.
like we started talking and so much easier than I thought.
Definitely.
I was thinking we weren't going to know what to
Vibe.
talk about.
I know.
But why? We talk all the time.
Why?
Are we ever... Okay. Are we ever sitting in a room...
Not talking?
Well, that's not fair because like there might be other people in the room. Even when there are. Most of the time we're talking. But like if it's just us two, like we're never not talking.
No, I don't think there's ever. I mean, sometimes when we're just like, I mean, we spend a lot of time together. So like
That's fair.
when we've
That's
spent a lot of time together, we more, but for the most part,
But not really.
a majority of the time we're talking.
Yeah.
Or doing something together. So it's
Ask me. Because I want to answer a question. I don't know.
okay. What gets you the most excited when we're shooting? Like what shot and what? Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Ask me again. I might laugh this time, but I won't do that weird face.
Or the voice. The Everyman guys.
The Everyman Guys?
Yeah.
Why? Explain it.
Say like we're talking about. Say next week we talk about exercising. We're two different levels, two different opinions, but we're like
We're very different
represent
people. We are very different
Yes,
people.
very.
That's fair.
We represent the Everyman. We're two guys, the Everyman guys. We can think about it, but
We'll think about it. I like it though.
I do
It's
too.
really good.
I think so too.
I was gonna say you're friendly neighborhood podcasters.
But then they think we're talking about
I
Spider-Man.
literally thought that. I literally thought
They're
that.
like, where's the Marvel stuff?
The Everyman guys. Where sometimes Jim coughs.
Most times.
And if we're away, we'll still shoot it. We could do an episode on the beach.